An accidental car accident caused Wei Ming to cross over to the Crown Prince Wei Shen of the State of Wei during the Warring States period, and he died in order to avoid the Battle of Meiling. He teamed up with Pang Juan to deal with Sun Bin of Qi. In order to prevent Wei from being annexed by Qin in the future, he will lead the Wei army to destroy Qin. For this lifetime, he wants to lead the State of Wei back to Dingfeng and unify the world. But the talents of all countries in the world are stronger than those of the Wei state, with the Qi state having literary works such as Zou Jiwu, Tian Jimou, and Sun Bin. The state of Chu supported 1 million soldiers, and the three major families supported the state of Chu. Qin Guowen has Gan Longwu, Zhang Gui, and Ying Qian. However, Wei Guowen only focuses on his own interests, with only Gong Shucuo as the core. Wu includes Pang Juan, Long Jia, and Gongzi Ang. How will Wei Shen lead Wei Guowen to unify the world? Falun novel network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Wei Dynasty Hall. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Pain, it hurts so much. Am I going to die? Wei Ming murmured as he lay on the ground. Some people in the surrounding crowd were calling and saying, "Hey, is it 120? There was a car accident on Guanming Avenue, and someone was seriously injured. Come over quickly. Cold, it's so cold. Can you give me a piece of clothing?" Wei Ming whispered, his whole body gradually turning cold from bottom to top. Although his voice was low, everyone around him heard him, but the others only looked from a distance, and no one came to give him a piece of clothing. A few people are still taking photos, posting on their social media, and telling their friends what's happening here. Wei Ming wanted to cry, but had no strength to shed tears. He was still a high school student and had a long way to go. Unexpectedly, a car accident left him with no future. "I'm sorry, parents, my son can't be with you anymore," he said. "It hurts so much," Wei Ming said while hugging his head and getting up to look around. A maid watched as Wei Ming woke up and happily said, "The Crown Prince is awake, Madam, the Crown Prince is awake." A beautiful woman walked in panic and watched as Wei Ming woke up. She quickly walked to the bedside and asked, "Shener, how are you? Where are you still feeling? Tell your mother." After a while, Wei Ming's head stopped hurting and he looked at the surroundings, which were all pre-Qin decorations. He said, "Where is this? What era is it now?" The beautiful woman looked at Wei Ming talking nonsense and felt very anxious, saying, "Shener, it is now the 5th year of King Xian of Zhou, and you are the Crown Prince of Wei, Wei Shen." Upon hearing that it was during the Warring States period and that he was still the Crown Prince of Wei, Wei Ming was shocked because he did not know how many years it was under the reign of King Hui of Wei. Not good. Pang Juan is the 100,000-strong army of Wei defeated. The beautiful woman saw Wei Ming talking nonsense and quickly said to several maidservants, "Hurry up and call the imperial physician. If the Crown Prince doesn't do well, you will all die." Several maidservants quickly retreated to call for the imperial physician. At this moment, Wei Ming also understood that it was the Warring States period now, and a lot of memories flashed through his mind. Fortunately, it was not the Battle of Meiling. After recovering, he said, "Mother, the child is fine. What about the father?" As soon as he finished speaking, Duke Wei and the imperial physician also came in. Duke Wei said, "Shener, are you okay? Why don't you hurry up and see if the Crown Prince is okay?" The nearby imperial physician quickly came over to help Wei Shen check his pulse. After a few breaths, the imperial physician said, Your Highness, is in good health. Please don't worry, Your Highness and Madam." After listening to the physician's words, the beautiful woman and Wei, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. "Wei, come over and ask, Shener, is everything okay? Someone will chop off those people who call the Crown Prince riding horses for me." After all, Wei Shen came from the 21st century and couldn't stand it. He said, "Father, riding horses is Shen's only wish and has nothing to do with them. Please forgive them." Wei. Seeing Wei Shen pleading with them, he said, "If Shen says so, let it go." Then the beautiful woman told Wei Shen the nonsense she had just said to him. Wei. Without a trace of expression, he asked Wei Shen, "Shen, did you dream of a nightmare?" Wei Shen could only push the boat and say, "Father, Shen did have a nightmare. He dreamed that Shen, General Pang Juan, and the 100,000 army behind him had all been destroyed." In this era, dreams were highly valued because ancient people believed that dreams were a revelation given to them by gods. Wei. After listening to Wei Shen's words, he laughed and said, "Shen, don't worry. General Pang is the top general of our Wei country today, and he has trained 100,000 Wei soldiers for Wei country. You should know that General Pang is still a disciple of Gongzi. I believe in him. Under his leadership, the Wei army is invincible, and our Wei country will always be the world's strongest country." Wei Shen smiled and said, "Father Marquis's words have reassured Shen. Shen, rest well. Shen is also 11 years old and will participate in the court meeting with me tomorrow. Thank you very much, Father Marquis." After speaking, Wei. So he left. In the evening, Wei Shen now knew that Wei had not yet experienced the battles of Guilin and Meiling, and there was still a chance. Tomorrow, he must persuade the king of Wei to fully attack Qin. "Your Highness, Crown Prince, it's morning court," a maid called out, and Wei Shen woke up in a daze. It was still dark, but he didn't expect the ancient morning court to be so early. "When I became the ruler, I must change it. When you arrive, the sound stops. Wei ho Wei." He came out and sat on his throne. The ministers below said, "I pay my respects, Your Highness." Wei Heng scanned and argued, saying, "Your Highness, please sit down quickly. Your Highness, what should our Wei state do to become strong now?" A minister stood up from his seat and said, "Under your leadership, Wei has gradually become stronger. General Pang has trained 100,000 Wei soldiers, and now Wei has become prosperous and strong. Recently, under the leadership of Zou Jiwu, Qi has gradually become stronger, posing a serious threat to Wei. It is time to send troops to attack Qi and maintain its hegemonic position. In fact, Wei, I have long wanted to fight against the state of Qi," after listening to the minister's words. Then he asked Pang Juan, "General Pang, do you think we can attack the state of Qi now?" Pang Juan immediately stood up and said, "Your Majesty, I believe that our Wei country is in a 4-war zone and that we need to destroy one country in order to make our Wei country even stronger. Therefore, I believe that Lian and Sanjin will be the first to attack the state of Qin." The Prime Minister Gong Shucuo stood up and said, "Your Majesty, I think we should attack the Qi and Qin states, which are wilderness states. It's not a big concern. I think we should attack Han and Zhao, so that Wei can unify the 3 Jin, and then attack Qi. At this time next year, we should first attack Korea and Zhao, occupy the 3 cities of Mengjin, Suyuan, and Yuan in Korea. This way, Wei can connect our eastern and western regions, cut Korea in half, and then occupy Zhongmu and Zhao. This will lay the foundation for Wei's future annexation of the 2 countries. In a few years, we will send troops to attack Qi, and we will surely succeed." Wei. After listening to the Prime Minister's words, he asked Pang Juan, "General Pang, do you think this matter can be handled?" Pang Juan said, "Your Highness, this plan is feasible for Prime Minister. However, our Wei country still needs to capture the capital city of South Korea, surround the capital city of Xinzheng, and form an alliance between South Korea and our country. After attacking Zhongmu in Zhao country again, we will send envoys to form an alliance with Zhao country and return Zhongmu to Zhao country. The capital city will be returned to South Korea. This way, Wei country can join forces with the 3 Jin dynasties and then attack Qin country with South Korea. We promise to divide the land of Shanglua to South Korea, so that Wei country can defeat Qin in one battle. 3 years later, we can join forces with the 3 Jin dynasties to attack Qi, and our Wei country's hegemony will be achieved. Wei. After listening, he said, according to General Pang's intention, it is to unite the 3 Jin dynasties and then destroy Qin and attack Qi, while the Prime Minister's intention is to unify the 3 Jin dynasties and attack Qi. I don't know what opinions the ministers have. For a while, the court was divided into 2 factions, one supporting Pang Juan and the other supporting Gong Shucuo and Wei. Looking at the chaotic Chao Tang, he shouted loudly, "Enough!" The Chao Tang suddenly quieted down. Wei. He asked Wei Shen again, I wonder if Shen'er has any objections. Wei Shen listened to Wei. Calling him, he stood up and said, Father and Marquis, I think General Pang's strategy is very good. Wei. Upon hearing this, he asked, Shen'er, why do you support General Pang's plan? Father, I will tell you a story. Wei. As soon as you hear a story, you should know that King Hui of Wei loves listening to stories the most. When he calmed down, he said, Shen'er, speak quickly. Everyone also listened carefully to the story that Wei Shen was going to tell later. Wei Shen said calmly, once upon a time, a fierce tiger was foraging on the mountain and found a wolf and a fox. The wolf had sharp teeth, and the fox was weak. Now, even tigers can eat wolves and foxes. Now, do you think this fierce tiger is eating wolves or foxes? After listening to Wei Shen's words, Marquis Wei immediately said, of course it's eating foxes. If you eat wolves, you may get injured, but eating foxes is relatively easier. Father Marquis, now our country of Wei is like that fierce tiger, and Qi is like a wolf, and Qin is like a fox. So is our country of Wei attacking Qi or Qin now? After listening to Wei Shen's words, the Marquis of Wei said, it's easy to attack Qin, so attack Qin. Can you explain why we should unite the 3 Jin dynasties instead of unifying them? Father, if our Wei state unifies the 3 Jin dynasties, then the Chu state will not agree. Therefore, unifying the 3 Jin dynasties is extremely dangerous. Combining the 3 Jin dynasties can destroy Qin in the west, attack Qi in the east, and attack Chu in the south, and it would be better to dominate the world with the power of the 3 Jin dynasties. After everyone finished listening, Gong Shucuo stood up and said, Your Highness, I support General Pang's plan. In the blink of an eye, the court all supported Pang Juan's plan. Marquis Wei said, let's follow General Pang's plan. My lords, who should be the general to attack Hanzhou next year? Wei Shen knew that next year, the Qin State would officially relocate its capital to Daliang because the main force of Wei attacked Han and Zhao, leading 200,000 to attack Shihe County of Wei. Wei Shen stood up and said, Father and Marquis, my son thought that Gong Shucuo would be the main general attacking Han and Zhao. He led 100,000 soldiers and Wei's soldiers remained motionless. To prevent Qin from sneaking an attack on Shihe County, Long Jia was appointed as the defending general of Shihe, with 50,000 soldiers to resist Qin. General Pang led 100,000 soldiers to sit in Ani. Pang Juan stood up and said, I will support the Crown Prince's plan. However, attacking Hanzhou Gong Shucuo as a general is not possible. I believe that I will be able to defeat Hanzhou with my leadership. Wei Shen quickly said, I don't think General Pang's leadership is ineffective, but I'm worried that if General Pang goes to attack Han and Zhao, Qin may raise the whole country's troops to attack Shihe County. That's exactly what I hope. General Pang and 100,000 soldiers will stay in Ani. After listening to Wei Shen's words, Pang Juan said, Your Highness, the Crown Prince's plan is feasible, but the last general did not consider it. However, I think we can use Prince Ang as the main general and Gong Shucuo as the deputy general to attack the 2 countries of Han and Zhao. Wei. After listening to Pang Juan's words, he said, just follow General Pang's words and leave the court. Everyone retreated to the back. Wei Shen caught up with Pang Juan and said, General Pang, wait a moment. Pang Juan turned his head and saw that it was Wei Shen. He stopped and saluted. I don't know what the Crown Prince is looking for me for. General Pang, can you take me to Ani camp to see Wei Wuzu? Of course, Your Highness, please. Subsequently, Wei Shen and Pang Juan arrived at the camp, where they saw a large number of soldiers training. Wei Shen stood up and looked at them, saying, General Pang, look at this world. General Pang's training methods are unparalleled. After hearing Wei Shen's praise, Pang Juan couldn't help but feel proud. It should be noted that in recent years, he hasn't gone home much and has almost always been training in the camp. It can be said that in order to make the army strong, in order to make the soldiers suffer, Pang Juan personally applied medicine and pus, and he personally used his mouth to suck, which has trained such a powerful army. Along the way, Pang Juan kept talking about his method of leading troops. Whenever he talked about something exciting, he couldn't help but wave his hands and visit Buddha again on the battlefield. After arriving at the camp of the main general and sitting down in different positions, Wei Shen said, General Pang, if you were leading the Qin army, how should we attack Shihe County? I will station troops in Zhongchuan, which is only 1 Luo river away from Shihe County in Wei. You can retreat to defend it and advance to attack it. Then the large army quickly surrounded Linjin, surrounded but not attacked, and attacked Shaoyang city with all their strength. After occupying Shaoyang, the troops will advance straight to Ani, making Wei seek peace. After listening to Pang Juan's words, he said, So General Pang, if the Qin army has 200,000, how should our army defend? Pang Juan also said, One is the West River garrison, only guarding 2 cities, one is Linjin, and the other is Shaoyang. Linjin guards 30,000, and Shaoyang guards 20,000. In addition, the people of the 2 cities are determined to defend. I believe that the Qin army must have 3 routes, with 40,000 attacking from the north, 60,000 attacking from the south, and 100,000 attacking Heiang city from the middle, cutting off the connection between Linjin and Shaoyang, and ordering 50,000 soldiers to prevent Linjin and 150000 attacking Shaoyang directly. And 1 is to hold on and temporarily sharpen our defenses. The other is that we lead an army of 80,000 to attack the Qin army in Shaoyang, while the other 20,000 and General Long Jia attack Linjin and recapture the city of Luoyin. This way, our army can surround the Qin army and completely annihilate the Qin army. Wei Shen asked again, General Pang, can our army defeat Qin 200,000 with 100,000 soldiers? Pang Juan immediately said, definitely. After listening to Pang Juan's words, Wei Shen knew in his heart that the Battle of Shaoyang would be a complete victory for Wei. In the evening, Wei Shen returned to the palace, thinking that if he were to equip Wei Wu's soldiers with a divine arm crossbow, he would know that the Song Dynasty divine arm crossbow could shoot 400 meters, while the current Han crossbow can only shoot over 200 meters. After thinking about it, he decided to make the divine arm crossbow. Chapter 2. Making Crossbows and the New Army. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the morning, Wei Shen woke up and the first thing he did was to find several craftsmen to help him make the divine arm crossbow. Wei Shen took a piece of silk and used a pen to draw the divine arm crossbow on it. As Wei Ming was very fond of ancient weapons in the past, he also knew about the divine arm crossbow. After finishing the painting, he asked his attendant Wang Xiao to go to the city to find some excellent craftsmen. Having nothing to do for a day, Wei Shen remembered that there was a book called The Art of War of Wu Qi in the book pavilion. It would be helpful to read it in the future. So he started reading military books in the book pavilion. After a while, a maid came in and said, Prince, Wang Xiaoran has brought him. Upon hearing Wang Xiaoran's arrival, Wei Shen immediately went out and saw Wang Xiaoran bringing several craftsmen. One of the craftsmen, led by Wang Xiaoran, had dark skin and appeared to be over 1.6 meters tall. The leading craftsman said, Young master, I'm under the command of Hong He. What do you want me to do? Wei Shen gave the picture on his body to Hong He and said, Sir, can you make the crossbow of this picture? Hong He took the picture and carefully read it for a while, saying, "Young master, this object can be made, but it will take me a month to make it." "Okay, with your words, I can rest assured." "Oh, could you please help me make another object?" Wei Shen took out another picture, which showed a curved plow. Hong He took a look at it and said, "Young master, you know so much about this clever thing. Lu Ban, in his second life, cannot take this item. In a month, he will bring the crossbow and this plow to young master." Wei Shen smiled and said, "As long as you cause it, there will be a heavy reward." After the craftsman left, Wei Shen thought it was better to do business and make money. In ancient times, salt was the most profitable. In ancient times, there was no fine salt, so it was better to make fine salt to make money. After speaking, Wei Shen asked Wang Xiao, "How much does salt cost in the market?" Wang Xiaoshu said, "The current price of salt is about 3 cloth coins and 1 liter of salt, while in the state of Qi, salt is 1 cloth coin and 2 liters. After listening, Wei Shen said, "Wang Xiaoxiao, if you rent a big house in the city, I will open a shop." He also said, "Call dozens of people here, you can trust them. Obey orders." Wang Xiaoshu finished and retreated. Wei Shen returned to the book pavilion and picked up the bamboo slips to read. At noon, Wei Shen looked up at the sky and said to the maid beside him, "When will we have dinner?" The maid said, "Your Highness, we will have to wait a little longer for dinner." After listening to the maid's words, Wei Shen remembered that during the pre-Qin period, people had 2 meals a day. Ask the baker to prepare it, I'll eat it now." The maid finished listening and then withdrew. At this moment, Wang Xiao also arrived and said, "Your Highness, the Crown Prince has brought everyone here. These 30 people are definitely reliable." Wei Shen looked at them and said, "Not bad, these 10 taels of gold are for you." After speaking, he took out a piece of brass from a wooden box next to him. During the pre-Qin period, gold referred to brass, and said to everyone, "Come with me." After speaking, he brought these 30 people to a house where there were several large pots and dozens of barrels of salt. Wei Shen asked someone to set fire to the pot, boil it, then poured in a bucket of water and half a bucket of salt, and finally stirred it continuously with a wooden stick. After a while, the coarse salt gradually dissolved into the water. Wei Shen covered it again and burned it for 7 or 8 minutes. He opened the lid of the pot and kept stirring, and the salt gradually appeared, turning into fine salt. Wei Shen didn't take out a cloth, which had many small holes. 2 people were asked to hold the cloth, and 1 person poured the salt from the pot into the cloth. After a while, the salt was stuffed out of the small holes in the cloth, leaving only residue. Wei Shen said, "Now, just make this fine salt like I do. Don't try to leak the secret. If you do this well, I will greatly reward you." After everyone heard this, they immediately became serious and said, "Obey." That night, Wei Shen used his previous knowledge to make soap again. Wei Shen happily forgot his place. In the morning, Wei Shen said to Wang's novel, "Wang Xiao, go and call in some of the big businessmen in the city." Wang Xiao immediately said after hearing this, "Your Highness, the big businessman from Lui, Wei Guowen, has been in Ani recently." Wei Shen immediately said when he heard that it was Wei Guowen, so he called Mr. Bai over. After a while, Wang Xiao brought a person over. Wei Shen saw that the person had a cunning face like a businessman, dressed in purple clothes and hanging white jade around his waist. The person said, "The businessman from Lui, Wei Guowen, has seen His Royal Highness the Crown Prince." Wei Shen smiled and said, "Mr. Wei Guowen, sit down. I called Mr. here this time to do a business." Then he took out a can of white salt and a piece of soap and said, "Sir, please see, this is the business I want to do with you." Wei Guowen saw that the salt was fine and white, much whiter than the salt in the market, and even finer. Immediately realizing that this was a big business opportunity, I looked at the white soap that was translucent with powder, emitting waves of floral fragrance. Wei Guowen immediately knew that these 2 products were definitely a big business opportunity. After reading it, Wei Shen said to Wei Guowen, "Would you like to do this business with me, sir?" Wei Guowen said, "Of course I do. Your Highness, I wonder how much does your Highness want?" Wei Shen smiled and said, "This fine salt is not expensive, it's only 10 knife coins per liter, and this soap is 10 taels of gold per yuan." Wei Guowen thought for a moment and said, "This price is not expensive, your Highness, I am willing to cooperate." A few days later, the entire Ani knew that the soap and fine salt were instantly purchased and used by the nobles and merchants in Ani city. And Wei Shen's shop was also successfully built and named Tian Baofang. Suddenly, merchants from all over the world went to hygienic shops to buy fine salt and soap. In less than a few days, Wei Shen was advancing towards gold. Watching a steady stream of wealth enter his pocket, Wei Shen knew that he needed to train a new army now. Why did Ani know about this soap and fine salt in less than a few days, thanks to the spread of Wei Guowen, a world-renowned businessman? And Wei Shen also agreed to sell Wei Guowen fine salt and soap as soon as he had them. In this way, under the hype of Wei Guowen and Wei Shen, the prices of fine salt and soap gradually increased. But in the court of Wei, some officials were criticizing these things, and the Crown Prince, who was in the court, actually started doing business with merchants. 10 days later, Wei Shen and the Marquis of Wei began the early court. "You go up to talk about it, Wei." Sitting on the throne, looking down at the courtiers below, I paid my respects to the emperor and said, "Your esteemed officials are exempt from courtesy, sit down." Wei. As he spoke, a minister stood up and said, "Your Majesty, I have recently heard that His Highness the Crown Prince is doing some business with some merchants. The Crown Prince of a grand country is actually associated with merchants, which I think is unacceptable." Another minister stood up and said, "Your Highness, I also believe that His Highness the Crown Prince's behavior is a serious violation of etiquette and law." After listening to the words of these ministers, the Duke of Wei turned to Wei Shen. Wei Shen laughed and said, "Father and Marquis, I believe that a country should not only rely on agricultural development, but also on the development of commerce. Qi became one of the most powerful countries in the world because of the development of commerce. Therefore, we believe that agriculture and commerce should be equally important, and that having both can make the country stronger." After listening to Wei Shen's words, many ministers also felt that there was some truth. After all, Qi relied on the development of commerce to become one of the great powers in the world. Duke Wei thought for a moment and said, "All right, let's not talk about this matter again in the future. What else do we need to report?" Wei Shen stood up and said, "Father, I miss about 20,000 new soldiers." After listening to Wei Shen, Wei Ho said, "Why do I miss a new army?" Wei Shen replied, "The most important thing in training this new army is that the Wei soldiers have a sense of competition, which can make the army stronger. If the Wei soldiers do not compare, they will always stand still. To make the Wei soldiers stronger, only comparison can make them stronger." After listening to what Wei Shen had said, Pang Juan stood up and replied, "Your Highness, I thought the Crown Prince could train the new army, so that Wei's soldiers could be even stronger." Upon hearing Pang Juan's words, the Marquis of Wei said, "Then the new army should be trained by His Highness the Crown Prince." Because the Marquis of Wei also knew that if Wei Shen became the ruler in the future, he would naturally need to experience and train, and this training of the new army is one of his tasks. The rest of the matter was gradually discussed in the court, and after it was over, the court dispersed. At this moment, Pang Juan caught up with Crown Prince Shen and asked, "Your Highness, do you need a general to train this new army?" Wei Shen said to Pang Juan, "Thank you very much, General Pang. However, I want to study this new army. I decided to go to the whole army and see if there are any suitable generals to lead troops." After seeing them off, both sides talked about other things and left. At night, Wei Shen was still writing about military training methods. He decided to use the training methods of Qi Jiguang in the Ming Dynasty as the main focus to train Qi Jiguang's Mandarin duck formation. This formation can be attacked and defended, and a dozen or so people can defeat an enemy army of over 100. At this moment, Wang Xiaojin said, "Your Highness the Crown Prince, General Pang has given you a book of the military guidelines he wrote himself. He said, I hope this can help you with your military training." Wei Shen said, "All right, bring it over. You can step back first." Wei Shen picked up the bamboo slips written by Pang Juan, looked at them for about half an hour, patted the table, and said, "You are truly a disciple of Gongzi. The method of leading troops is indeed remarkable." A few days later, Wei Shen and Wang Xiaojing were having dinner at a restaurant when they heard several people discussing military strategy. One of them, Wei Guowen, said, "I believe that the most important thing in an army is courage, understanding of the enemy, and geographical advantage. Back then, the state of Lu defeated the state of Qi with one go. Knowing oneself and the enemy, and adapting to the times and geographical advantages, was the best way to win." After listening to the words of the person named Wei Guowen, Wei Shen felt that this person should have his own reason for leading troops. Judging from that person's age, it is similar to Pang Juan's age. After more than an hour of cooking, the person named Wei Guowen also left the restaurant. Wei Shen chased after them and said, "Sir, please wait a moment." Wei Si turned his head and looked at a yellow-haired child calling him. "Stop and say, I don't know why you asked me. I'm Wei Shen, the Crown Prince of the State of Wei. After listening to what you just said about the military strategy in the tavern, I found it very beneficial and hope that you can help our country practice the new army." Upon hearing this, Wei Guowen turned out to be the Crown Prince and immediately bowed and said, "Thank you very much for your kindness. I am willing to help Wei practice the new army." Wei Guowen had originally intended to make a name for himself in the state of Wei, but when he saw the opportunity now, he naturally agreed happily. The next morning, a 20,000-strong army had been recruited into the People's Army. And Wei Guowen became the main general of these 20,000 new soldiers. Last night, Wei Shen discussed with him the methods he knew about Qi Jiguang's training, the Mandarin duck formation, and the methods Pang Juan used to lead his troops. After one night, Wei Guowen also helped Wei Shen make many modifications and finally took shape. Chapter 3. New Army. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the morning, Wei Shen and Wei Guowen arrived at the newly built military camp and saw that there were already 20,000 new recruits in the camp, which had just been recruited. Wei Shen said to Wei Guowen, "Sir, these 20,000 new recruits will be trained by you." After speaking, Wei Guowen held the command flag in his hand and said, "All soldiers listen to my orders and practice according to my orders." This morning, all of them ran and circled the military camp 10 times. Wei Guowen's new management training on his side was hot, and 10 miles away was the military camp of Wei's soldiers. At this moment, Pang Juan heard of the commander of the new army's camp, a person named Wei Si. Pang Juan was overjoyed that this person was actually a disciple of He Guanzi. He Guanzi had played chess with his master Gongzi, and Gongzi had his disciples discuss the Tao together with He Guanzi, and Wei Guowen once argued with Pang Juan and discussed their respective ideals together. Pang Juan said to Vice General Zhang Sun, "I want to go out of the camp to meet an old friend. Please manage the military camp well." He then took his disciple Gong Shucuo to the new army camp. At this time, Wei Guowen was training the new army inside the new army camp. As he watched the soldiers of the new army work hard to train, his long-awaited dream of becoming an excellent scholar is gradually approaching him. A soldier approached Wei Guowen and said, General Pang Juan of Wei wants to see you and says he's your old friend." Upon hearing that it was Pang Juan, Wei Guowen immediately said, "Hurry up and invite the general in." Pang Juan walked into the military camp with Gong Shucuo, looking at the orderly appearance of the camp and the active training spirit of the soldiers, which made Pang Juan very happy. Wei Guowen saw that it was Pang Juan, and immediately walked down the platform, bowing to Pang Juan and saying, "I don't know if it was Brother Pang who came. It was a mistake to welcome him from afar." Pang Juan also smiled and said to Wei Guowen, "Brother Wei, you have trained a good army." Wei Guowen also said, I didn't expect that at that time we had debates under the guidance of our respective masters in Giga Mountain, and now we are already serving the same monarch. Pang Juan also said, yes, at that time you had a debate with me about the way to use military force. You always emphasized the importance of being cautious when using military force. In the Ghost Valley, we cut grass into horses and scatter beans as soldiers. Either you win or I win. I remember one time during a military exercise, we argued for several hours due to a certain issue. Wei Guowen also said, yes, the past has passed. In the past, we could only scatter beans as soldiers, but now we have tens of thousands of troops in our hands. Why don't we have a military training session with your Wei soldiers after a year? What do you think? Pang Juan laughed and said, okay, today next year, our two armies will face each other. Wei Guowen said, Brother Pang, go into the camp and speak. On the other hand, Wei Shen was counting the money he had earned in his shop in Ani. He saw more than a dozen boxes filled with coins from various countries, and another box filled with gold and silver treasures. After looking at the dozen or so boxes of treasure, Wei Shen smiled and said, I've received the cost of the 20,000 new soldiers. He then asked Wang Xiao to go to the market to buy dozens of pigs and more than 10 cows to reward the 20,000 new soldiers. Wei Shen asked again, Wang Xiao, Hong He doesn't have the divine arm crossbow and the Chu Yuan plow. Wang's novel said, Hong He has already made the divine arm crossbow and the Chu Yuan plow. Oh, then quickly ask him to bring those things. After Wei Shen finished speaking, Wang Xiao stepped down and called Hong He. After a while, Hong He came in. After bowing, Hong He said, Young master, I have made these two things according to your requirements. Please take a look. Wei Shen picked up the divine arm crossbow and the curved plow on the ground and said, It's done well. Take these 50 taels of gold. After picking up the divine arm crossbow, Wei Shen said, Wang Xiao, prepare the vehicle and drive to the new army camp. In the new army camp, soldiers were training. Inside the main camp, Wei Zheng had a great conversation with Pang Juan. Sir, we have a great conversation with General Pang. Can the Crown Prince join us? Pang Juan and Wei Zheng saw that it was actually Wei Shen. They immediately stood up and saluted, saying, I have seen your highness the Crown Prince. Pang Juan and Wei Si held a crossbow against Wei Shen. Your highness, is this crossbow from Korea? Said Wei Shen. The name of this crossbow is the divine arm crossbow, which can shoot up to 300 to 400 steps. Two people living in the same room, surprisingly, there was a bow and crossbow so far away. They didn't believe it at all. Wei Shen said, this crossbow was made by a few craftsmen I raised, not from Korea. Pang Juan immediately said, it's better to go to the school field and test shoot one side. Wei Shen said after hearing this, alright, let's go to the school field and test shoot one side. The three of them arrived at the school field. A soldier held a divine arm bow and aimed it at a target 300 steps away. With a swoosh, the crossbow arrow hit the target directly, and the arrow penetrated deeply into the target, directly inserting it. The three of them immediately walked forward to look surprised. Pang Juan immediately said, with such powerful bows and crossbows, the army of Wei will be even stronger. Wei Shen said again, can someone put 3 pieces of armor on this target? So he began another test shot. With a swoosh, the crossbow arrow pierced through the 3 layers of armor and hit the target. The 3 of them walked forward again to look, and Wei Guowen also said, this bow and crossbow is really strong. Tomorrow, I will bring the bow and crossbow to the court and have my father and Marquis mass produce it. Wei Shen said. Upon hearing this, the 2 of them were very excited, as those who led troops in battle preferred sophisticated weapons. The next morning in court, when you arrived and finished speaking, the Marquis of Wei sat on the court hall, looking down at the courtiers below and the prosperous state of Wei, feeling very satisfied. Upon meeting you, the Duke of Wei asked, Your Highness, what is the matter to report today? The Prime Minister, Duke Guo, stood up and replied, "Your Highness, recently the King of Qi appointed Tian Shou as the General-in-Chief, commanding the Qi army. It is said that this person has already trained a team of 100,000 elite soldiers, called skilled fighters. Your Highness, the state of Qi must be on guard." Upon hearing this, the Duke of Wei said, "General Pang, do you think that the state of Qi has trained 100,000 elite soldiers? What should our state of Wei do?" Pang Juan stood up and said, "Your Majesty, don't worry. The main general of Hanoi County is Zhai Kai, the son of Zhai Jiao, a famous general of Wei Wuhou. I have seen his method of leading troops, and General Zhai Kai has 50,000 soldiers from Hanoi County in his hands, and he is skilled in his military tactics. However, General Tian Shou of Qi is impetuous in his military tactics and has no real reputation. He has more than enough measures to deal with Qi." After listening to Pang Juan's words, his heart gradually calmed down. Wei Shen stood up and said, "Father Marquis, I have brought you a strong military item and a prosperous country item today." Upon hearing this, Wei Marquis said, "Shen heir, what are you bringing today? You can actually strengthen the military and enrich the country." Later, Wei Shen had someone bring up the divine arm crossbow and the Chu Yuan plow. Wei Shen first took the divine arm crossbow and said, "This crossbow has a range of 100 steps longer than the Han crossbow, and can penetrate 3 layers of armor within 300 steps. Everyone was surprised when they heard that the Han crossbow cannot penetrate 2 layers of armor within 200 steps, and this crossbow can actually shoot 300 steps. Shooting through 3 layers of armor within 200 steps is a bit. Marquis Wei looked excitedly at the crossbow in Wei Shen's hand and said, "Shen'er, this crossbow can really shoot so far." Pang Juan stood up and said, "Your Majesty, this crossbow can indeed shoot this far. Yesterday, I personally tested it with His Highness the Crown Prince, and it is indeed true. Moreover, this crossbow may shoot up to 400 steps." After listening to Pang Juan's words, Duke Wei said seriously, "This item cannot be spread. It is spread to the 3 ethnic groups of the Yi people, and the Crown Prince's selection personnel are fully responsible for the construction of this item. Shen'er, how much can this item be built in a year?" Wei Shen said, 1 year can produce 10,000 pieces. "Father and Marquis, this thing is called the Chu Yuan plow, which makes farming more convenient and more than twice as fast as before." The Duke of Wei looked at Chu Yuanli under the court and said, "Is this thing really so convenient? Father, you can hold a competition, just like the speed of cultivating land. Within the specified time, you can see who can cultivate more land. Father can reward the person who cultivates the most with a reward of 50 taels. This way, you can see whether Chu Yuanli can cultivate land faster than before and solve the problem." The people of Wei understand Chu Yuanli. When they heard this, they all thought that this method was good. The Duke of Wei said, "In a few days, the lower official Duan Gonping will be in charge of this matter." After hearing this, Duan Gonping stood up and said, "I obey." Wei Shen, on the other hand, heard that it was Duan Gonping. He knew that it was during the Battle of Guilin that he advised the King of Qi to save Zhao, which led to the defeat of the Wei army. At that time, Duan Gonping was not appreciated by the state of Wei, so he went to the state of Qi. This time, he must not be allowed to go to the state of Qi. After the end of the court meeting, Wei Shen followed Wei Ho all the way. Wei Ho stopped and asked, "What else is Shen'er doing?" Wei Shen said, "Father, my son believes that after this competition, Duan Gonping should be appointed as the senior official." "Why?" "Father, my son thinks that Duan Gonping's talent is quite strong, and the title of junior official is a bit." "I already understand your meaning, go back first." After hearing this, Wei Shen retired and returned to his mansion. 2 days later, the reclamation competition was held under the call of Duan Gonping. Dozens of people participated in the competition, and even thousands of people watched. Wei Shen called a commoner to compete with a curved plow. Before the competition, a large number of people believed that the curved plow was not as good as the straight plow, because the curved plow was pulled by one cow, while the straight plow was pulled by two carts. At the beginning, the speed of the curved plow was the same as that of the straight plow, but gradually the curved plow surpassed the straight plow, and turning was also more convenient than the straight plow. After the competition, Chu Yuanli actually cultivated 6 acres of land, while Ji Yuanli only cultivated less than 3 acres. Everyone went to the field again and found that the cultivation depth of the Ziyuan plow was deeper than that of the Ziyuan plow. Subsequently, Wei Shen rewarded the commoner with 50 taels of gold and sent someone to protect him when he returned home. Wei Shen exclaimed loudly, "This competition is to promote the Quan Li, so the government will distribute a Quan Li to each household, and each participant will receive a reward of 10 taels." Upon hearing this, the contestants also received a reward, and immediately became happy, shouting, "Long live the Crown Prince, long live the Wei Kingdom." In this way, 3 months later, under the leadership of local officials, the Ziyuan plow gradually began to be used throughout the entire territory of Wei. New army camp. In these months of training, Wei Guowen and his soldiers have shared joys and sorrows, training together. Now, after a few months, Wei Guowen has transformed from some of the previous rabble to a refined teacher. Weiss felt that the hard work and dedication over the past few months were worth it. A soldier reported, "General, the Crown Prince is coming. Please invite the Crown Prince to come in quickly." Wei Shen walked into the camp and looked at the well-trained soldiers. He understood that these soldiers would soon become elite soldiers. Wei Guowen watched as Wei Shen walked towards him and immediately went to salute, saying, "I have seen His Highness the Crown Prince." Wei Shen said, "Sir, the soldiers you have trained are good. In a few months, these soldiers will become truly elite soldiers. Sir, you have worked hard." Wei Guowen said, "Training soldiers is just my duty." Wei Shen then asked, "Sir, if Qin leads a 200,000-strong army to attack me, how should you defend Shihe County of Wei if you are the main general?" Wei Guowen said, "Although the Qin army is fierce and aggressive, it is not good at coordination. Moreover, the Qin army's formation is scattered and self-fighting, making it easy to break through one by one. Therefore, if I lead the army to make people proud, the proud soldiers will be defeated. Before the start of the war, we should avoid the enemy's sharpness and make them gain some small benefits, making them arrogant. Once the enemy becomes arrogant, the military and political situation will become more loose. At this time, our army can attack from the rear, cut the Qin army in half, and break them down one by one." After listening to Wei Guowen's words, Wei Shen felt that what he said was very reasonable. Wei Shen said, "As the saying goes, the state of Qin should not be afraid." Wei Shen hopes that after next spring, there will be a war with Han and Zhao, and hopes that the Battle of Shaoyang will be a victory for Wei. On the other side of the state of Qin, Duke Ying Qian of Qin is planning to attack Shihe County of Wei, and next year will be an uneasy year. Chapter 4. Qin Dynasty Hall. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. After the sound was over, Duke Qin Ying Qian walked up to the hall with great enthusiasm and sat on his throne as Duke Qin. During his decades of hard work and governance, the state of Qin gradually became stronger. A few years ago, in the Battle of Shimen, under the leadership of Qin General Zhang Qian, the state of Qin defeated the world's top power Wei and beheaded 60,000 soldiers, earning him the title of uncle bestowed upon him by the Zhou Emperor. Nowadays, the soldiers of the state of Qin are no longer afraid of the army of the state of Wei, and the army of the state of Qin has returned to its heyday during the reign of Duke Mu of Qin. After the Battle of Shimen, he felt an unprecedented excitement amidst the cheers of many courtiers, which was exactly the goal of his decades of hard work and governance. "Farewell to your esteemed lord," said Duke Qin. Senior Minister Gan Longwu stood up and said, "In recent years, our country has defeated Wei in the Battle of Shimen. I believe that next year, Qin should recapture our territory in Heshi and defeat Wei in one fell swoop." After hearing Gan Longwu's words, Duke Qin asked, do you have any opinions from the ministers? Due to Qin's inherent arrogance, since the victory of the Battle of Sherman, the state of Qin no longer takes Wei seriously, and many ministers believe it is time to reclaim the land of Heshi. At this moment, General Zhang Ting stood up and said, "Your Highness, I thought that the last Battle of Sherman was mainly fought by the main force of Wei, and it was the war between Han and Zhao that led to the defeat of Wei by Qin. However, I believe that even if we encounter the main force of Wei, Qin can still defeat Wei." The voices of reclaiming the land of Heshi gradually increased, and a minister stood up and said, "I thought we should use the whole country's strength to attack the land of Heshi in Wei." The Wei army was not afraid enough, so they braved the old Qin and went to the national crisis together. For a moment, amidst the words of the valiant old Qin Communist Party going to the national crisis, all the ministers were like chicken blood, saying that they would attack the state of Wei next year. At this moment, Ying Qian stood up and said, "Your Highness, I think we should still be careful of Wei. After all, Wei's soldiers did not appear in the Battle of Sherman. Now, Wei has trained 100,000 Wei soldiers under the leadership of General Pang Juan of Wei. Therefore, Qin is still cautious." Qin Gong smiled and said, "Qianer, don't worry." Qin Gong then said, "Next year, I will personally lead a national army of 200,000 to attack the state of Wei. With Zhang Gui as the main commander, Qianer and Xueliang will also go together. Dr. Gan Longwu will be stationed in Liyang. Your Majesty, it is wise." After Qin Gong issued the order, Qin's war machine began to operate. In the sky, a goshawk flew straight into the clouds under the cover of night. After some time, a person in black saw a goshawk flying to his windowsill in a room in Ani. He looked at the goshawk and stroked it a few times before taking out a piece of meat to feed it. He then opened the envelope on its leg and read it, and the letter went to the Crown Prince of Wei. A few months ago, the state of Wei sent spies on a large scale to infiltrate the state of Qin, collecting intelligence about it. Unexpectedly, Qin's heart did not die for Wei's Heshi region. Wei Shen said to follow me into the palace and meet my father and Marquis. Wei Shen walked non-stop into the palace and said to the guards, "Where is my father now?" One of the guards said, "Your Majesty is fishing in the courtyard with the Prime Minister." Wei Shen hurriedly walked into the courtyard and saw the Duke of Wei and the Prime Minister Uncle Qiu leisurely fishing. There were already several small and medium-sized fish in the bamboo basket. Upon seeing Wei Shen, the Marquis of Wei said, "Shener, come and fish with me." Wei Shen deliberately said anxiously, "Father, do you still have the mind to fish? Qin will lead a 200,000-strong army to attack Wei next year." After saying this, he handed the letter to the Marquis of Wei. Upon opening the letter, Duke Wei handed it to the nearby Prime Minister and immediately said, "Call General Pang Juan to meet me." Gong Shucuo also took the letter and was surprised after reading it. In no time, Pang Juan arrived at the study and saw the three of them with a somewhat unusual expression. He asked, "What's the point of calling me here for this matter?" "General Pang, take a look for yourself," said Marquis Wei and handed the letter from the state of Qin to Pang Juan. Pang Juan opened it and took a look, laughter and say, "Your Excellency, the 200,000-strong army sent by the state of Qin this time is not a concern. Next year, our Wei country will continue to attack Han and Zhao. Firstly, Gongzi Ang will lead 100,000 troops to attack Han and Zhao, while General Long Jia will lead his army to defend Shihe County. All 50,000 strong troops will be concentrated in Shaoyang and Linjin. When the morale of the state of Qin weakens and the military front weakens, I will lead 80,000 Wei soldiers to a decisive battle with the Qin army in Shaoyang. His Highness will lead the new army in 20,000 Wei soldiers to Linjin, together with General Long Jia. Let's recapture Luoyin city together." Upon hearing this, Marquis Wei had only a partial understanding and asked, "Why do we retreat to Linjin and Shaoyang? Do we not want any other cities? Your last war is not about capturing one city or one land, but about the overall situation. In this war, our country of Wei will surely win. Pang Juan said to Marquis Wei. Duke Wei felt relieved when he saw that Pang Juan was so confident and said, General Pang Juan will be fully responsible for next year's war. Your Highness, I recommend one person. This person is necessary to completely defeat Han and Zhao in the Zhao-Han battle. Pang Juan said, and Duke Wei asked, who is it? This person is the commander who is currently training the new army, named Wei Guowen. He was recruited by His Highness the Crown Prince and is a disciple of He Guanzi. His military skills are not inferior to mine, said Marquis Wei after listening to Pang Juan's words. As the saying goes, let Wei Guowen and Gongzi Ang lead the army with 40,000 soldiers to attack South Korea. Wei Guowen led 60,000 soldiers to attack Zhao. After the victory of this battle, Wei Guowen became the 4th Zhonglang general of our Wei country. General Zhonglang is a military official position second only to the superior general. Currently, there are only 3 General Zhonglang in the state of Wei, one is Long Jia, one is Gong Shucuo, and the other is Gongzi Ang. Wei Shen also said, next year, our country, Wei, will definitely win this battle. In the evening, Wei Shen was still thinking about the 200,000 strong army of Qin, and could only silently remember that Wei could defeat the war next year. Qin State Liang Camp Zhangxian is training soldiers. The 50,000 soldiers in this camp are the elite soldiers of the Qin State. He believes that he will definitely defeat the Wei State next year. Hurry up, that person is running so slowly. If he runs so slowly again, don't eat today. The soldier who was mentioned immediately quickened his pace upon hearing the general's instructions. Upon hearing this, Zhang Gui turned his head and saw that it was Duke Qin. Zhang Gui immediately knelt down and said, I've seen you before. Qin Gong smiled and helped Zhang Gui up, saying that general has worked hard. I heard that general has been working day and night to train my elite Qin army. Your Majesty, this is just the function of the last general, said Zhang Yi. Qin Gong asked, General Zhang, can our Qin army defeat the Wei army next year? After hearing this, Zhang Yan said, under your diligent governance, our Qin country has gradually become stronger. And above the stone gate, our Qin country has defeated Wei country and beheaded 60,000 Wei army soldiers. Our Qin country is no longer afraid of Wei country, and the people of Qin country are also day and night trying to recover the lost land and the land of Heshi. Okay, upon hearing the general's words, I feel relieved. I can't wait to see next year's victory, Qin Gong said. In a certain factory in Ani, Wei Guowen Wei Shen was inspecting the manufacturing of the divine arm bow with Wang Shao in the city. At this moment, the head craftsman of the factory, Hong He, immediately came over to salute and said, I don't know if the Crown Prince is coming. It's a mistake to welcome him from afar. Wei Shen said to Hong He, Master, you don't need to be polite. If it weren't for Master's hard work day and night, our country of Wei wouldn't have had so many divine arm bows in a short period of time. This Hong He was the craftsman who made the divine arm crossbow and Chu Yuanli at that time. When the Marquis of Wei asked Wei Shen to be in charge of this matter, Wei Shen was also thinking about who would take on this responsibility. Finally, according to Wang's novel, Hong He was a descendant of the Mo family. Therefore, Wei Shen asked Hong He to be responsible for making the divine arm crossbow. Hong He did not disappoint his expectations. He not only made the divine arm crossbow, but also made the continuous fire crossbow and other siege and defense equipment, due to the fact that the descendants of the Mahist school are best at making city defense equipment. The city defense equipment made by Hong He's supervisor is the most exquisite. For example, the punching pole, the city guarding crossbow, the roller throwing stone machine, and so on. Wei Shen knew that these city guarding tools would make significant contributions in the Battle of Shaoyang. Therefore, after the production of the defensive equipment was completed, the army was ordered to transport these defensive equipment to the cities of Linjin and Shaoyang. In order to obtain the help of the Mahist children, Wei Shen personally invited the Mahist giant in this area of Wei. Thanks to Hong He's help, the Mahist children in this area agreed to help Wei. The Mahist giant, Hua Kaili, also agreed to help Long Jia defend the city in Linjin, and Long Jia appointed Hua Kaili as a deputy general. Hong He said, "Your Highness the Crown Prince, we will make 20,000 divine armed crossbows in a year." Wei Shen said happily, "Very good. Master Hong told all the craftsmen to take a break today, and I will invite all the craftsmen to drink." As soon as the craftsmen heard this, they shouted, "The Crown Prince is wise." However, in the far west of Qin, they did not know that Wei was ready and waiting for the 200,000 army of Qin to enter this set. Chapter 5. Individual Planning. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The next year, in the beginning of spring, people from all over the world were busy with spring broadcasting, but at this time, the court halls of Qin and Wei were in a different scene. Wei Dynasty Hall. The Marquis of Wei asked, "Gentlemen, after the spring broadcast ends, our country of Wei will go to war against Han and Zhao. Do you have any opinions?" At this moment, Duan Ganpeng, who never answered, stood up and answered, because in the past, Duan Ganpeng's title was only a lower-ranking official. He believed that Duke Wei did not see his talent, and after the reclamation competition, Duke Wei even promoted him to a higher-ranking official. He then made up his mind to contribute to the state of Wei. Duan Ganpeng said, "Your Majesty, I believe that war should be declared against Han and Zhao. The reason is that there was internal turmoil in our Wei country back then, and Han and Zhao attacked our Wei country regardless of the alliance between the three Jin dynasties. Therefore, this war is revenge, so that our Wei country can attack Han and Zhao in a legitimate manner, and there is no reason for other countries to interfere with our Wei country." Before the war broke out, our Wei's declaration envoys also investigated the military distribution of Han and Zhao, as well as various domestic issues, which can make it easier for our Wei country to attack Han and Zhao. Upon hearing this, everyone thought it was good. Upon hearing this, Duke Wei said, "Just follow what Dr. Duan said." Duke Wei then asked, "What should be the next big war?" Pang Juan stood up and said, "Your Majesty, I believe that dealing with Han and Zhao only requires 100,000 troops. One army of 40,000, led by Gongzi Ang, will attack the Wild King, Suyuan, and Mengjin cities of South Korea. They will then move south to capture Guangcheng and surround Xinzheng. The other army, led by Wei Guowen and 60,000 soldiers, will attack the state of Zhao. Our army will fight against the Zhao army in Huishui, and after defeating the Zhao army in Huishui, we will directly attack Handan, the capital of Zhao." After listening to Pang Juan's words, everyone nodded secretly. It should be noted that Pang Juan was the top general of Wei, and had never suffered any defeats in battles against Chu, Han, Zhao, and Qi. Some even said he could be compared to Wu Qi, the superior general of Marquis Wen of Wei. Marquis Wei smiled and said, "General Pang's plan is very good. I have General Pang, just like King Wen has Jiang Taigong." Wei Shen stood up and said, "Father Marquis, if we attack Han Zhao this time, Qin will attack Shihe County. My son thought that in order to completely annihilate the Qin army, we need to make the Qin army relax our vigilance. Father Marquis can change the flag of the main general attacking Zhao to General Pang's flag, so that Qin mistakenly believes that the main force of Wei's soldiers is attacking Han Zhao again, causing the Qin army to underestimate our Wei army. Then, we will change the flag of the main general attacking Qin army to that of General Wei Guo, so that the main general of Qin will underestimate our Wei army. By using this strategy, one can kill two birds with one stone, one can annihilate the Qin army, and the other can make Zhao dare not send more troops to resist our army in Huishui." Upon hearing this, Pang Juan immediately said, "This plan is very good. I don't know if it is. General Pang, this plan is called, crossing the sky and the sea," Wei Shen said. Pang Juan murmured, "What a sky full of sea." Later, Wei Shen said, "In order to completely annihilate the Qin army, our army will defeat the Qin army after the decisive battle. The Qin army will flee to the west, while our army will lead one army to cross the Luo River. At this time, there will not be many defenders in the city of Zhongquan of Qin. After attacking the city, we will continue to insert the Qin army's flag weaving, making the Qin army mistakenly believe that Zhongquan has not been lost. The Qin army will return to Zhongquan to resist our Wei army by the Luo River, and our Wei army will ambush the enemy near Zhongquan in Qin territory, and we will be able to completely annihilate them. Everyone was even more surprised upon hearing this, and did not expect the Crown Prince to have such a strategic plan in his mind. Pang Juan asked again, "Why is this plan?" Wei Shen said, "This plan is to steal beams and exchange pillars." After hearing his son finish these two strategies, Duke Wei was overjoyed and said, "Just follow what His Highness the Crown Prince said." He dispersed the court. Qin Dynasty Hall Duke Qin asked in the court, "Your Highness, how should our state of Qin attack the state of Wei this year and reclaim the land of Heshi?" Zhang Ting stood up and replied, "Your Majesty, I think the army will be divided into three routes, namely the South, Central, and North armies. The northern route will be led by Ying Qian with 40,000 soldiers to attack the northern territory of Heshi, while the middle route will be led by the last general with 100,000 soldiers to attack the middle route and occupy Heiang City. The two strong cities in Heshi, Linjin and Shaoyang, will be separated, and the connection between the two cities will be severed. The last will be divided into 50,000 soldiers to surround Linjin City, and then lead the remaining 50,000 to approach Shaoyang. The southern route will be led by Zhou Ziki with 60,000 soldiers to occupy the southern Heshi territory. The three armies will meet in Shaoyang and attack Shaoyang together. As long as they occupy Shaoyang, they will be able to capture the southern Heshi area. After arriving at Shaoyang, our army attacked Ani and forced Wei to agree to return the land of Heshi to our country. After listening to General Zhang's strategy, Duke Qin fully agreed and said, "Just follow General Zhang's words." The officials all shouted, "Your Majesty, you are wise." Unfortunately, Zhang's strategy was indeed feasible, but it was already cracked by General Pang Juan of the Wei State. This battle of Shaoyang may be the downfall of the Qin State. Qin State's heavy spring city. I saw that within the city of Zhongquan, 50,000 elite soldiers from the state of Qin had already arrived. These soldiers knew that in this battle, Qin would inform the world that it was about to move eastward and dominate the central plains. Before the war, every soldier had no fear and was very excited, because after the victory of this battle, they would be heroes of the Qin State. Zhang Ting also wanted to look at each city, land, mountain, and water on the map over and over again, planning for the Qin army's battle. Zhang Yan circled the city of Shaoyang with a pen and kept saying, "Shaoyang, Shaoyang." He smashed hard at the table and said, "We must win this battle." Wei Guowen camp. I saw the general of Wei at the table, with maps on the table. To the left of the table was the famous general of Wei, Gongzi Ang. To his left was Wei Guowen, and to his right was the fierce general of Wei, Gong Shucuo. He was as powerful as a giant stone that could lift hundreds of pounds. He also participated in many wars and led his army to resist the attacks of the Hanzhao coalition army multiple times during the internal turmoil of Wei. Pang Juan said, "Everyone, do you understand the direction of the attack in this battle?" "All understand." The three of them said in unison. "All right, everyone, let's start preparing." Pang Juan said. "In this war, Wei can only win and cannot lose. Linjin City Shaoyang City as the commander. Chief of Shihe County, Long Jia's current task is to defend Linjin." He saw that the defending army of Linjin was moving the defense equipment onto the city wall, and thousands of laborers were also transporting the food from Shihe County to Linjin and Shaoyang to prepare for the upcoming major battle. Within the city of Shaoyang, the garrison general Zhai Liang was also actively preparing for battle. Zhai Liang was the son of the famous general Zhai Jiao of Duke Guowen of Wei, the brother of Zhai Kai, and also the lieutenant of Shihe County. When Long Jia did not arrive, he was responsible for the defense of Shihe County, and this person had strict military tactics. "I have done many things that benefit the country and the people in Shihe County, and together with the governor of Shihe County, Zhang Daoyuan, we have developed Shihe County," repaired water conservancy, and reclaimed land. With the efforts of everyone, Shihe County has added 100,000 acres of fertile land, 15 water conservancy facilities, and the people are prosperous. Now, Zhai Liang has been appointed as the governor of Shaoyang. He understands that he will use his life to defend this city. For the sake of the future war, he repeatedly checks the entire city to see if the fire prevention measures are complete and if there is sufficient food. Just to defend Shaoyang City well. Chapter 6. Trends of Various Countries. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After the spring broadcast, the armies of various countries were also mobilized. The state of Chu mobilized 100,000 Qin troops to the border of Qi, while the state of Qin also had to mobilize troops to Zhongquan to prepare for an attack on the state of Wei. Han and Zhao have been deeply involved in military affairs and have repeatedly suppressed the elder brother of Wei, believing that Wei is about to decline. Unfortunately, although Zhao Han had cut some flesh from the body of Wei during the 5 or 6 years since King Hui of Wei succeeded to the throne, he had nothing to do with Wei. Wei Dynasty Hall, gentlemen, the spring broadcast has ended. Who will declare war on Han Zhao? Asked Marquis Wei. The courtiers below were quietly discussing who should go. At this moment, Duan Gonping stood up and said, Your Highness, I am willing to declare war in Korea, and I recommend General's nephew, Dr. Pang Tsong, to go to the state of Zhao. Dr. Pang Tsong was known for his courage and had excellent political achievements when serving as the local governor of Hanoi. He punished the local lawbreakers severely and was skilled in diplomacy. Okay, let the senior officials Duan Gonping and the middle officials, Mr. Pang Tsong, go to the 2 countries of Han and Zhao respectively. Pang Juan stood up and said, Your Majesty, the 100,000-strong army recruited from Hedong County and Hanoi County has been assembled. The army has been trained by General Wei Si and young Master Ang and can immediately engage in battle. Marquis Wei was very pleased to hear this. Under Pang Juan's leadership, the army of Wei has also emerged from its slump, and its combat effectiveness has gradually become stronger. He also helped him train 100,000 Wei soldiers. Marquis Wei really likes this superior general. With the arrangement of General Shang, I feel very relieved. This year, Han Zhao of our Wei country will bear the cost. Wei Ho's voice changed from soft to strong. The sound transformation is very natural. Prime Minister Gong Shu stood up and said, Your Majesty, all the provisions for this battle have been prepared, and they can be delivered to Ani tomorrow. With the Prime Minister preparing all the provisions, I can rest assured, said Marquis Wei. Seeing that Prime Minister Gong Shucuo still had something to say, he stopped and asked, Prime Minister, what else is there? Upon hearing this, Gong Shucuo breathed a sigh of relief and said, Your Majesty, I am old and I would like to recommend someone. This person, being Prime Minister, will definitely make our Wei country stronger. Upon hearing this, Duke Wei sat up and asked, Who is that? Gentlemen, this person is my student named Wei Yang, and he is known for his talent. Gong Shucuo replied. After hearing Wei Yang's name, Duke Wei began to ponder. Father Marquis, I have something to say. Wei Marquis heard, Shener, what's up? Father Marquis, I also heard about Wei Yang. One day, I was drinking with General Wei Si at a tavern and heard several people talking about the problems of our Wei country. One of them gave several solutions to our Wei countries by Duan. This person is Wei Yang, and Wei Yang must be a great talent. Wei Shen said in a daze. After hearing this, Marquis Wei said, This person has such great talent. He must be from our Wei country. Prime Minister, please teach him more and pay more attention to him. Follow your orders, said Gong Shucuo. A few days later, the Korean court Han Ruishan, the Marquis of Han, was admiring singing and dancing when Prime Minister Han Yi stepped forward and said, Your Majesty, the envoy of Wei has come to seek an audience. Oh, the envoy of Wei, let him in. Marquis Han kept his eyes fixed on the fair-skinned figure of the dancer and said. After a while, Duan Gonping, the senior official of the State of Wei, arrived and saw several dancers still dancing in the main hall. He knew in his heart that this was intentional by the Marquis of Han, so he loudly said, "Marquis of Han, the envoy of the State of Wei, Duan Gonping, submitted a declaration of war the day before yesterday." After saying that, he gave his resignation to Han Yi, the minister of Han, and left. Upon hearing that Han Ho had just come to declare war and wanted to invite Duan Gonping to stay, he saw Duan Gonping swaggering out. Han Ho had never suffered such humiliation and cursed loudly, "What are you scumbags still dancing for? Get lost." The dancers heard Han Ho so angry and retreated to the harem. "Wei Ho's old thief, if you want to fight, I will fight with you. I have 100,000 soldiers, why be afraid of you as a Wei country?" Han Ho angrily said, pulling out the sword casually and chopping on several cases. Han Yi, the Prime Minister of Han, saw that Han Ho's anger had subsided a bit and walked up to him, saying, "Your Majesty, I believe that the first step now is to gather a large army. This time, Wei will declare war on our country and will definitely declare war on Zhao. Therefore, South Korea needs to prepare the defense of the capital city of Xinzheng, and we need to join forces with Zhao to deal with Wei." After hearing Han's opinion, he said, "Prime Minister, is it a bit awkward for me?" Han Yi replied, "Your Highness, admitting your mistake in a timely manner is a good thing. I believe that South Korea will win this battle." Han Ho said, "I believe you, then who should be the general in this battle?" "Your Highness, I recommend Han Shan. This person is the commander of the Xinzheng camp, who trained 30,000 elite soldiers for South Korea. He has been in the army for more than 10 years and has participated in dozens of major wars. He once defeated Wei General Gong Shucuo and beheaded Wei during the chaos in Wei's country. There are over 10,000 soldiers in the army, and Han Shan has rich combat experience. I recommend Han Shan to be able to defeat the Wei army." Upon hearing this, Marquis Han defeated General Gong Shucuo of Wei and immediately said, "This battle will be led by General Han Shan." "Your Majesty, Holy Ming," Han Yi said. Marquis Han also said, "Prime Minister, I will entrust the matter of sending envoys to the state of Zhao to the Prime Minister. I will comply." Zhao Dynasty Hall Zhao Zhong, the Marquis of Zhao, asked, "Your Highness, Wei declared war on our country. What should our Zhao country do?" The officials below looked at each other, but no one answered. Marquis Zhao, seeing that no one among the courtiers answered, angrily said, "I didn't expect that in such a large court of Zhao, there would be no one to share the worries of being alone. What's the use of raising you all alone?" After listening to the words of Marquis Zhao, all the officials lowered their heads together. At this moment, Prime Minister Gong Zhongla, who was sitting next to Marquis Zhao, stood up and replied, "Your Majesty, please calm down. I have a strategy that can defeat Wei." After hearing the Prime Minister's strategy, Marquis Zhao turned his head to look at Gong Zhongla and asked, "Do you know what good strategy the Prime Minister has?" "Your Majesty, I believe that the declaration of war and revenge by the State of Wei against our country is just a cover, and swallowing our territory is the truth. If the State of Wei declares war on our country, it will definitely declare war on South Korea. I believe that the Korean envoy will soon come to our country of Zhao to fight against the State of Wei, and I believe that the State of Qin will definitely send troops to attack Wei," Gong Zhongla said. After hearing this, Marquis Zhao asked, "Prime Minister, why are you certain that Qin will attack Wei?" Gong Zhongla replied, "Your Highness, Qin wants to recapture the land of Heshi day and night. Now, the main force of Wei is attacking Han and Zhao, and the country will inevitably be empty. In addition, the famous general of Wei, Pang Juan, must also lead his army to attack Han and Zhao. Therefore, Qin will definitely attack Wei." Upon hearing this, Marquis Zhao's anger dissipated in the blink of an eye and he said, "So how should our state of Zhao deal with the army of Wei?" "Your Majesty, I believe that I will lead my troops in the Huishui area, and I recommend Zhao Shou as the commander-in-chief." I will lead 70,000 soldiers to guard the Huishui area, and 30,000 to guard Handan. Zhao Shou has also been in the army for nearly 10 years. He is cautious in his military use and can shoulder great responsibilities, said Gong Zhongla. Okay, according to the Prime Minister's words. The courtiers said, Your Highness, Your Highness. A guard walked into the palace and reported, Your Highness, the Prime Minister of South Korea, Han Yi, has come to seek an audience. Upon hearing this, Marquis Zhao burst out laughing and said, as the Prime Minister said. Qin Dynasty Hall, Your Majesty, the provisions of a 200,000-strong army have been transported to Zhongchuan City, and our army will surely win this battle, said the senior physician Gan Long. Qin Gong excitedly said, All right, I've worked hard, doctor. Zhang Ting stood up and said, Your Majesty, I have heard that Wei has declared war on Han and Zhao, and I have also sent people to investigate whether the main general attacking Han and Zhao is Pang Juan. Therefore, I have determined that the 100,000 Wei soldiers of Wei will attack Han and Zhao, while the only remaining generals in Ani are Wei Guowen and Wei General Gong Shucuo. This attack on Wei is a divine opportunity, and I am very confident in defeating these two people. After hearing this, Duke Qin stood up and said, Okay, the main force of the Wei army is attacking Han and Zhao. This is a great opportunity from heaven, General Zhang. You will be responsible for this battle. Your Highness. Qin State Chongquan camp. Several soldiers were sitting by the campfire, and a 15-year-old soldier said, Captain Wu, do you think we can beat Wei? The soldier next to him tapped his head and said, Of course we can win. You should know that I was just a soldier in the Battle of Sherman. I followed General Zhang to kill the Wei army, and the soldiers of Wei fought against each other. Besides, this battle is not a Wei soldier. As long as it is not a Wei soldier, Lao Ju can easily kill a few heads. After listening to Captain Wu's words, the soldier was no longer afraid, and only had the feeling of killing the enemy in his heart. Unfortunately, the Qin army was no longer the result of the hasty preparation of the Wei army in the Battle of Sherman, but rather the elite Wei soldiers of the Wei army and the well-trained 50,000 soldiers of Shihe County. During the Battle of Sherman, the state of Qin deployed 100,000 troops. At that time, the state of Wei was empty, and the Duke of Wei could only temporarily recruit 60,000 civilians to participate in the war, resulting in the defeat of the state of Wei. Chapter 7. Preparation of Qin State. The state of Wei seized the city. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Dozens of cavalry followed a chariot to look at the territory of Wei on the opposite bank of the Luo River in the territory of Qin. On the chariot, it was none other than Duke Qin of Qin, Ying. He stood on the chariot and looked across the river towards the western part of the river. He murmured, It's been 20 years, I've been waiting alone for 20 years. The cavalry beside him was Ying Qian, the eldest son of Duke Qin. Ying Qian said, Gongfu, the territory of Wei is ahead. Qin Gong shook his head and said, No, that's our territory of Qin. Qin Gong then said, Qianer, let's go back to Chongquan. After the horse stepped on it, only a burst of dust remained in the air. Qin State Chongquan camp. When the general of Qin, Zhang Shi, was studying how to break through the city of Shaoyang, the messenger suddenly came in and said, General, you have arrived. Zhang Shi immediately walked out of the camp and saw Qin Gong coming. He knelt down and said, I have seen you come. Qin Gong helped Zhang Xian up and said, General, I don't know when the general will attack Wei. Zhang Xian said, Your Majesty, I thought that when Wei and Zhao and Han reached a state of anxiety in the battle, our army was attacking Shihe County of Wei. This way, Wei could not quickly mobilize troops to support Shihe County. After hearing what Zhang Xian said, Qin Gong smiled and said, If Qin has a general, there will be no battle that cannot be won. General, is our country's 200,000 strong army sufficient for this battle? Qin Gong asked. Your Majesty, I believe that a 200,000 strong army is already the limit of our Qin state. If our Qin State does not defeat Wei State in this battle, Qin State will not be able to go eastward for 20 years. I really hope to reduce the number of this 200,000 strong army to 100,000. Zhang Yi replied. Qin Gong didn't like to say, General, don't say too much. Our Qin country will definitely win this battle. Can't the entire country's army still defeat his Wei country? Even if Pang Juan has the talent to understand the heavens, it's impossible for Wei country to engage in a three-line battle, right? Your Majesty, I haven't been sleeping well these past few days and often dream of a large army being burned to death by the flames. Zhang Xian said. Qin Gong said, the general is afraid. Your Highness, I am not afraid, but I feel that this attack on Wei is like a trap for Wei, replied Zhang Gui immediately. Qin Gong smiled and said, General, there is no need to worry about what happened in your dreams. Just lead my 200,000 strong army to win. Wei Guowen Camp Pang Juan was reading the military book that Wu Qi had left in the State of Wei. This book was based on Wu Qi's experience in leading troops to fight in the State of Wei and was compiled into the book, Wu Qi's Art of War. Pang Juan saw Wu Qi's article, Knowing Oneself and the Enemy, and Being Invincible in 100 Battles. After reading it, he patted his thigh and said that the formation for dealing with the 6 countries should be fought in this way. At this moment, a scout came over to report, saying, the general found signs of a 200,000 strong army of the Qin State by the side of the Luo River. After listening, Pang Juan put down his bamboo slips and smiled, go down and call the generals to come and camp. General, it seems that the 200,000 strong army of Qin is trying to stab our country in the back, said Pang Juan, a disciple beside him. The 200,000 strong army of Qin will only come and go, and I have already discussed with His Highness the Crown Prince about the strategy. Gong Shucuo said, General, I think we should avoid his sharpness. Qin will definitely fight our army outside the city of Shaoyang. Therefore, I believe that Qin should attack this city of Shaoyang for a month. 1 month later, our army will go to a decisive battle with the Qin army. Pang Juan said after cabled, this plan is very good. Qin's food and supplies are definitely not enough for 2 months. After a month, the morale and supplies of the Qin army will be almost depleted. Then, I will lead my army to fight against the Qin army, and I will definitely defeat them. At this time, all the generals also came to the main general's camp, and Pang Juan said to the generals, everyone, are the army ready? Vice General Zhang Sun reported, General, our army is already prepared and has been waiting for the general's order for a long time. Pang Juan happily said, all right, everyone tell the soldiers that we will soon fight against the Qin army, and tell them to use their swords to wash away the shame of the Battle of Ximen. After hearing this, the general said, I comply. New Army Camp Wei Shen is training soldiers to practice the Mandarin duck formation, watching as they become proficient in using it. Wei Shen was very pleased. Wei Guowen's military training was indeed remarkable. At this moment, Wei General Gong Shucuo came over and said to Wei Shen, Your Highness, this battle will be led by Vice General Wei with you to deal with the state of Qin. Wei Shen said to Gong Shucuo, General, do you think this new army is an elite force? After carefully examining the army, Gong Shucuo immediately said, Your Highness, this army can be said to be no less than Wei's soldiers. Wei Shen said to Gong Shucuo, General, come with me to the main general's camp to discuss. After hearing this, Gong Shucuo said, Respect the Crown Prince's order. After dividing the priorities between Wei Shen and Gong Shucuo, Wei Shen said to Gong Shucuo, General, I believe that in this battle, our Wei country will definitely win. The current Qin country has been overwhelmed by the Battle of Ximen, so there must be no extra defense for our Wei country. The ruler of South Korea is only concerned about defense, and the safety of Xinzheng is more important than the overall situation. The ruler of Zhao is too impatient, but also a cautious person. Zhao's army will definitely confront our army on the banks of Huishui and dare not go to war. When the capital of South Korea, Xinzheng, is in danger, and the Korean army will inevitably be requested by the ruler of South Korea. Take the initiative to support Xinzheng. After our army defeats both the Qin and Han armies, the ruler of Zhao will inevitably be eager to attack. The army of Zhao will naturally be requested by the ruler to cross the river and fight against our army. Once it crosses the river, the Zhao army will be defeated, so Wei has already stood invincible in this battle. Gong Shucuo said, I didn't expect the Crown Prince to have such a good understanding of the national conditions of Zhao and Qin in South Korea. I admire it. Wei Shen picked up a cup of tea, took a sip, and said, now we're waiting for these three countries to get involved. In less than a day after the end of the declaration of war on the South Korean border, Gongzi Ang led 40,000 soldiers near South Korea, and in just half a day, he captured the Wild King of South Korea. Vice General Yuan Ning said, General, our army has captured the Wild King. Would you like to take a break? Gongzi Ang said, no, the military is of great importance. Quickly attack Suyuan immediately. Take 5,000 soldiers to ambush the reinforcements sent by Mengjin City, and ambush the Korean army here. This place is called Jianlin. Go quickly. Yuaning asked inexplicably, General, will the Korean army from Mengjin really come to rescue? Gongzi Ang chuckled and said, I see that Nye Wu, the county magistrate of Mengjin, is a person who is eager to seek credit. Suyuan is surrounded, and he will send people to rescue him in order to seek credit. Moreover, Mengjin is a large city with more than 10,000 defenders, so I believe Nye Wu will send troops to support. Yuan Ning hurriedly said, I'll comply. Above the Korean court, Han Ho looked at the battle report sent from the front line and forcefully threw it to the ground. He angrily said, a group of fools can't even defend it for a day, even if they call a pig to defend it, they can defend it for several days. Han Yi picked up the war report on the ground and said, Your Majesty, young Master Ang is a famous general of Wei. It's normal for the Wild King to be defeated by the general. Han Ho angrily said, there are only 5,000 defenders in the Wild King city, and the enemy has only 40,000. If we defend it for more than 10 days, we can still defend it. Even if 5,000 pigs are to be chopped for him, they will still be chopped for several days. The Wild King guards the three tribes of the barbarians. Your Highness, I believe that if the other party has captured the Yuan, they will definitely capture Suyuan, Mengjin and other cities. Wei's ideology has divided our country of Korea into two parts. Now our country of Korea should defend the Guangxing to prevent the Wei army from surrounding our capital. After hearing Prime Minister Wang's words, Han Ho's anger subsided a bit and he said, let's follow the Prime Minister's instructions. Along the banks of Huishui River the 70,000 army of Zhao has been facing off against the 60,000 army of Wei on the side of Huishui for several days, and neither side has made any movement. It seems difficult to defeat the Wei army, said Zhao Shou, the general of Zhao, as he looked at the Wei army on the opposite bank. The deputy general beside him said, General, the enemy's army is not as strong as ours. Take the initiative to attack. Our army has 70,000, while Wei State only has 60,000. Our army is more than the enemy's army, so just charge over and fight against them. Zhao Shou looked at the deputy general seriously and said, what should our army do if the enemy's Wei army attacks halfway across? Our main task now is to wait for the fighter jet. Zhao Dynasty Hall Zhao Ho looked at the war report on the other side of South Korea and said anxiously, Prime Minister, South Korea has already lost the Wild King city in less than a day. It's better for Zhao and Wei to make peace. Prime Minister Gong Zhongle shook his head and said, Your Majesty, it is not possible. A war depends on one city in one place, but on the overall situation. Currently, South Korea has not been completely defeated, and the Qin army has not yet deployed. Therefore, our country of Zhao has not yet reached the point of seeking peace, and our 70,000 army has not been defeated by the Wei army. Don't worry, and even if we seek peace with the Wei army, it will cause great bleeding for our country of Zhao. It is better to fight with the Wei army, not to mention that we can still win the Wei army. After listening to the Prime Minister's words, Marquis Zhao said, "Prime Minister, you have lost your composure. I hope Zhao can resist the attack of the Wei army. Prime Minister, you are responsible for the city defense of Handan to prevent the Wei army from directly bypassing and attacking our capital city of Handan." Zhao said. Gong Zhongla replied, "I obey." Chapter 8. Marching into the City of Management. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Gongzi Ang quickly led his troops to surround Suyuan City. The defender of Suyuan City looked at the Wei army below the city and could only pray for reinforcements to arrive quickly. At this moment, Gongzi Ang said, "The whole army is besieging but not attacking." As ordered, the general said. At this moment, on the way from Mengjin to Suyuan, a Korean army of about 7,000 people was quickly heading to Suyuan City for rescue. The supporting army was sent by Mengjin. The main commander of the reinforcements is Wang Ming, the defending general of Mengjin. Wang Ming sat on the chariot, watching the army advance rapidly. He exclaimed loudly, "The whole army is advancing quickly, brothers. If we take another step slower, the brothers of Suyuan City will be in even more danger. Everyone, move forward quickly." After hearing the general's order, the South Korean soldiers couldn't help but quicken their pace. On both sides of the road that the former Han army must pass through, Wei General Yuan Ning and 5,000 Wei soldiers were ambushed. A scout hurriedly ran over and whispered, "General, the Han army is here." Upon hearing this, Yuan Ning was overjoyed and said, "General Wei Ang is using his troops like a god, and the Han army from Mengjin is coming to rescue them. The whole army obeys orders. When the Han army completely enters the trap, they will shoot arrows." The scout on the side immediately said, "Obey, General." At this moment, the Han army was still advancing rapidly, and the deputy general on the side reminded Wang Mingdao, "General, the road ahead is narrow, and there may be ambushes. It's better to slow down, after all, the opponent is Wei Ang, a famous general of the Wei state." Wang Ming did not take the words of the deputy general seriously. Instead, he sternly said, "Suyuan City is in danger of being born. If you don't hurry up to save Suyuan City, it will be destroyed. Besides, although Wei General Ang is good at military speed and attacking cities and territories, he only has 40,000 troops. Suyuan City has 7,000 defenders, and the military strategy is to attack the city 10 times more. Now that the Wei army is short of manpower, how could they divide their troops to ambush our army?" After listening to Wang Ming's words, the deputy general felt it was reasonable and stopped persuading him. Without realizing it, Han Jun fell into the trap of Wei Jun. Yuan Ning saw that all the Han army had entered an ambush, stood up and loudly said, "Shoot arrows." For a moment, the Wei army on both sides fired 10,000 arrows, instantly shooting down a large number of Han soldiers. The Han army was panicked and hastily responded to the battle. General Wang Ming of the Han army shouted loudly, "Don't panic, quickly form a formation." Yuan Ning ordered, "Soldiers, set fire to oil, set fire to the enemy." So the Wei army on both sides of the road smashed cans filled with oil at the Han army, and hundreds of archers shot down rockets. In a moment, countless Han soldiers were burned by flames on the road. Seeing this scene, General Wang Ming of the Han army screamed in agony and screamed in his heart, "The defeat in this battle is my fault." Then he drew his sword and committed suicide. Wei General Yuan Ning saw that it was almost time, and then ordered the entire army to attack. "Those who surrender will not be killed," a group of Wei soldiers shouted. In less than an hour, the Wei army beheaded 5,000 Korean soldiers and captured 1,200 Korean soldiers. And after finding the body of Han General Wang Ming, Yuan Ning said, "Cut off this head, and all the soldiers will follow orders to meet General Wei Ang." Outside Suyuan City, Gongzi Ang led the Wei army to encircle but not attack. A general asked in confusion, "General, why hasn't our army attacked Suyuan City?" If the Han army comes to support us, our army will be sandwiched in front and back by the Han army. Young Master Ang laughed and said, "Don't worry, everyone. I have already sent troops to ambush the necessary path for the Korean reinforcements, and soon there will be good news." As expected, just as the words fell, a Wei army came to gather, and a teleportation soldier came to report and said, General Yuan Ning has defeated the Korean reinforcements and killed the Korean General Wang Ming. Young Master Ang laughed and said, "Okay, quickly call General Yuan Ning to come and see me." In no time, Yuan Ning approached Gongzi Ang and arched his hand, saying, "General, your troops are like gods. Sure enough, South Korea has sent reinforcements to support Suyuan City. The enemy has been defeated by me. Can General attack Suyuan City now?" Gongzi Ang said to the crowd, "There is no need to attack the city. I will have the enemy automatically open the city gate. The defender of Suyuan City is a greedy and cowardly person. Our army only needs to throw the head of the Korean reinforcements to the commander of Suyuan City, Han Bao, and then promise heavy profits. Suyuan City will not attack and break through on its own." So Gongzi Ang ordered someone to shoot the head of South Korean reinforcements General Wang Ming into Suyuan City with a heavy crossbow, and then shoot a flying letter to Suyuan City defender Han Bao. Suyuan City defender Han Bao saw the head of the reinforcements General Wang Ming and the money promised on the flying letter, and without saying a word, he killed the county magistrate of Suyuan City, opened the city gate, and surrendered to the Wei army. In this way, the state of Wei captured Suyuan City without bloodshed. In the county magistrate's office of Suyuan City, all the generals praised the young master for using his troops like a god, and for capturing Suyuan without bloodshed. Gongzi Ang coughed and everyone immediately fell silent. Gongzi Ang said, "Everyone, we have taken Suyuan City now. Next, we will attack Mengjin. Mengjin City is a large city with nearly 10,000 defenders. Therefore, I have decided to fraudulently open the enemy's city gate." Vice General Yuan Ning asked, "General, how should our army deceive the enemy's city gate?" Gongzi Ang continued, "We can use Han Bao, the surrendered general of South Korea, to help us fraudulently open the city gate. Tomorrow morning, we can ask Han Bao to lead 1,000 Korean surrendered soldiers to the outside of Mengjin City. Mengjin County Magistrate Nye Wu will definitely retrieve these remaining marching soldiers. We can call Han Bao at night and lead these surrendered Korean troops to immediately open the city gate." Upon hearing this, everyone exclaimed, "General's clever plan." The next morning, Nye Wu, the county magistrate of Mengjin City, had already heard the news of the defeat. Wang Ming was defeated, and he suddenly felt that Suyuan City might have been conquered by the Wei army. He could only pray that his small army could hold on to Mengjin. At this moment, a defending soldier reported, "Sir, there are about 1,000 defeated soldiers from Suyuan City outside the city, led by Suyuan City's defending General Han Bao." After listening, Nye Wu immediately followed the soldiers to the city tower and saw more than 1,000 South Korean defeated soldiers below. They all wore ragged clothes, had dusty faces, and few had armor. Even the leading South Korean generals were disheveled. Nye Wu shouted to the city below, "Is this Han Bao, the leader of Suyuan City, under the city?" Han Bao loudly said, "Lord Nye, quickly open the city gate and let us in. The army of Wei has already captured Suyuan City and is attacking towards this side." Nye Wu was very certain that it was Han Bao, the defender of Suyuan City, so he had someone open the city gate. After all, Nye Wu didn't have a warrior in his hands now. The former county captain of Mengjin City, Wang Ming, had already died on the way to rescue Suyuan City, and now the defender can only rely on this Han Bao. Han Bao saw the city gate open and was overjoyed that Gongzi Ang's plan had been half successful. In the evening, over 1,000 Korean soldiers who came to seek refuge in the morning quietly left the camp. These Korean soldiers walked to the city gate, killed the Korean soldiers guarding the gate, and then opened the gate. Han Bao stood on the top of the city and set a few torches. At this moment, the Wei army outside the city saw the signal of an attack, and young Master Ang ordered, Yuan Ning, lead 5,000 soldiers to attack the city. Obey your orders. Yuan Ning led 5,000 soldiers to attack the city of Mengjin. Subsequently, flames erupted in the city, and the Korean army retreated from the massacre of Korean surrendered soldiers and Wei soldiers. The county magistrate of Mengjin, Nya Wu, also drew his sword and committed suicide upon seeing this situation. The next morning, Mengjin city was officially occupied by the State of Wei. Subsequently, Gongzi Ang ordered, divide another 5,000 troops to capture Wusui and Xinzheng, and completely cut Korea in half. He then led a large army to attack the Korean capital city of Xinzheng. Korean court after seeing the battle report sent, Marquis Han was already very angry. In just 3 days, the cities of Mengjin and Suyuan were also lost, and now South Korea has been officially cut in half by the State of Wei. Han Ho said to Prime Minister Han Yi, "What should Prime Minister do now? The Wei army has already approached the Guancheng. Can Han Shan really hold on?" Han Yi said, "Your Majesty, there is no need to panic. Han Shan is cautious in his military use, and his army is 20,000 more than the Wei army. With 60,000 Han soldiers in hand, the Guancheng will not be lost." After listening to Han Ye's words, Marquis Han also felt a little relieved in his heart, but he always felt that there was one step behind in chess. Guancheng Han Shan, a Korean general in the city of Guancheng, is leading his troops to inspect defensive fortifications. He is indeed cautious and careful in his military tactics. He not only set up 3 defense lines outside the city, but also brought food from 100 miles into the city and filled up water wells. Each defensive line's anti-horse formation, barrier walls, etc. tightly encircle the entire city like an iron barrel. On the other hand, the army of Wei was stationed in a camp 20 miles away from Guancheng. In the commander's camp, young Master Ang asked, "Everyone, now South Korea is guarding the city tightly and has already cast it into an iron barrel. How should our army break through this city?" Vice General Yuan Lin on the side said that it's better for the general to directly take the city of Meiling. Meiling is only a few tens of miles away from Xinzheng, and even after the battle, it can threaten Xinzheng. Gongzi Ang said, "General Yuan is right, but our army's capture of Meiling is still far from enough. The enemy only needs to divide more than 10,000 troops to recapture Meiling city. After all, the enemy also knows that our army only has 40,000 troops, and the number of troops divided to occupy Meiling is bound to be small. This plan is not feasible." When everyone heard that this plan didn't work, they all fell into contemplation. At this moment, Gongzi Ang thought of something and said to the crowd, "When I was in Ani, General Pang Juan gave me a brocade bag and asked me to open it in an emergency." Everyone was delighted upon hearing it. Subsequently, Gongzi Ang slowly opened the brocade bag and, after reading the contents written on it, patted the table and said, "This plan will definitely capture the Guancheng." Chapter 9. Surrounding Xinzheng. You are listening at novelfull.audio. So young Master Ang handed the plan written on the silk to everyone to see, and everyone said, "General Pang Juan, you are indeed the top general of our Wei country. No one can break this plan." Gongzi Ang followed the strategy written by Pang Juan and said, "Vice General Yuan Ning, these days you have led your soldiers to secretly leave the camp at night and return to the camp during the day, creating the illusion that our army is constantly receiving reinforcements. You have also made tens of thousands of scarecrows and put on military uniforms to confuse the Korean army. The Korean generals know that our army has increased tens of thousands of troops, so they dare not go to support other places. We can only defend according to our army's thinking. General Zhou Ming led 5,000 troops directly to take Meiling city, while General Shui Yu led 5,000 troops directly to take New City. Due to the fear of our army pursuing us on the way back to Meiling or New City, the Korean army cannot balance the situation. In addition, the New City is only 100 miles away from Xinzheng, and Meiling City is only a few tens of miles away from Xinzheng. If the Korean army wants to protect Xinzheng, they naturally have to give up the management city, and our army can bury 10,000 ambushes on the way between the management city and Xinzheng to completely annihilate the Korean army. I am leading 20,000 troops from the other side to annihilate the Korean army. Attack from the rear. General Zhou led his troops from Tongguan in Wei to attack Meiling, while General Shui set off from Mengjin to attack Xinzheng. In this battle, our army must take over Guancheng. Maoling in South Korea is not Maoling in Qi. Maoling in the Battle of Maoling refers to Maoling Road in Qi. A few days later, South Korean General Han Shan received a report from the scout that the State of Wei had increased its troops by 40,000 and Chen's troops were stationed outside the city. At this moment, South Korean General Han Shan said to the generals, "No one is allowed to go out of the city to face the enemy. All the defenders who go out of the city without authorization will be killed." Suddenly, a soldier hurriedly entered the camp. The report said, "General, it's not good. The Wei army has captured Xinzheng and Meiling, and our South Korean city of Xinzheng has been flanked by the Wei army on both sides." Han Shan was shocked and said, "Not good." A general said, "General, why not lead 20,000 soldiers to retake Xinzheng and Meiling?" Han Shan said, "No way. If our army were to split up and recapture Xinzheng and Meiling, the enemy's conscription would reach 80,000, which is already equivalent to the number of our soldiers. If our army were to split up, the enemy would inevitably attack our army's troops heading towards Xinzheng and Meiling. This would gradually eliminate our army's vitality, so our army would have to hold on to the city." At this time, the messenger also came to report. 5,000 soldiers have occupied Wusui and Xinzheng, and have now joined our army. Young Master Ang said after hearing this, "Okay, follow the plan." Korean court. After receiving the war report, Marquis Han was greatly shocked and said to Prime Minister Han Yi, "Prime Minister, look quickly. Wei has already occupied Xinzheng and Meiling with an increase of 80,000 troops." After reading the war report, Han Yi said to Marquis Han, "Your Highness, I think it's better for Han Shan's army to continue to guard Guancheng and not move." After hearing Han Ye's words, Marquis Han angrily said, "The Wei army has surrounded Xinzheng on both sides. According to the Prime Minister's words, Xinzheng in South Korea will be conquered by the Wei state. Someone has ordered Han Shan's army to return to Xinzheng." Guancheng Dang Han Shan took the recently delivered order and let out a deep sigh, saying, "Leave 20,000 soldiers to defend the city, and the remaining 60,000 troops will follow me back to defend Xinzheng." A general turned to Han Shan and said, "General, you don't know the situation on our side. Besides, if you don't accept the orders from outside, why not?" Han Shan waved his hand to signal the general not to continue, and then said, "Unfortunately, your orders have to be followed." Han Shan said again, "Vice General Muwen, lead 20,000 soldiers to defend Guangcheng. No matter what happens, do not go out of the city to face the battle." Vice General Muwen arched his hand and said, "Obey your orders, General." Later, Han Shan withdrew with 60,000 troops from Xinzheng. On the other hand, the general of Wei, Prince Ang, was overjoyed when he heard the news of the Korean army's withdrawal and said, "Our army will surely win this battle. We will pursue them with all our troops." Gongzi Ang is Gongzi Ang, the younger brother of King Hui of Wei, who is upright and talented. He has defeated Shang Yang multiple times in the Battle of Heshi. Finally, Shang Yang hypothesized that he wanted to reminisce with Gongzi Ang. Gongzi Ang went to be imprisoned by Shang Yang. Finally, because the main general was imprisoned, Shang Yang defeated the Wei army in the Battle of Heshi. At this moment, Han Shan continued to advance with his army. As the army was not defeated, he was asked by Marquis Han to return to Xinzheng. The morale of the entire army was low, and Han Shan's heart was also gloomy, but he did not know that the front would be their place of death. At this moment, the Wei general in charge of ambush saw that the Han army had entered the ambush circle and loudly said, "Let go of the rockets." In an instant, the Wei army on both sides of the grass stood up and shot at the rockets at the Han army, as the Wei army had already sprinkled liquor and oil on the road. Therefore, the fire quickly spread, and the Wei army had already dug a fire barrier, so they were not injured by the fire. At this moment, the Han army was howling uncontrollably under the scorching fire, and the Wei army on both sides was constantly shooting arrows at Han. Seeing soldiers being shot one by the Wei army, and a large part of them being burned alive by the fire, they felt extremely desperate. A personal soldier leaned over and said, "General, the Wei army is attacking from behind." Han Shan knelt on the ground and laughed, "The defeat in this battle is not my fault. Your Majesty, it was your fault. You made our Korean army go to the brink of death." Haha, 20,000 Wei soldiers behind the Han army, led by young Master Ang, killed the Han army. At this moment, the Han army was defeated like a mountain, and the soldiers had no fighting spirit and surrendered one after another. A few hours later, only tens of thousands of charred corpses remained on the scorched ground, and the air was filled with a burnt smell and the smell of burnt meat. Young Master Ang asked, "How many Korean soldiers have been killed in this battle?" The nearby soldier said, "General, our army has killed more than 40,000 Korean soldiers and captured more than 10,000 people in this battle." Young Master Ang said, "Don't leave all these prisoners behind and kill them. Obey orders." Guanqing Gongzi Ang, with a 30,000-strong army, had already taken control of the city under Chen's command. Gongzi Ang sent someone to inform the governor of the city, Muwen, of the news of the defeat of the Han army. On the city, Han Jiangmu looked down at the Wei army below, feeling something in his heart. At this moment, several Wei cavalry soldiers ran to the bottom of the city, and one Wei cavalry soldier was still carrying a human head with a bamboo pole. One of the Wei soldiers loudly said, "Han people in Guancheng, your army has been completely annihilated by our army. Han Shan, the main general of the Han army, has been killed by our army. The head on this bamboo pole belongs to your main general Han Shan. Our general said that those who surrender will not be killed." Upon closer inspection, it was indeed the head of the general. The soldiers in the city heard of the defeat of the army, and their morale was extremely low when the general was killed. They all looked at the general's head, hoping to find some safety from him. Although there were no ripples on Muwen's face, he was very anxious in his heart, but he had no choice but to hold on. At night, in the camp of the Wei army's main general, Gongzi Ang said to the generals, "Everyone, tomorrow morning, our army will divide 1,000 troops to dig up a river and flood the Guancheng. The Guancheng garrison is worried that our army will flood the Guancheng and they may want to go out to fight. However, the morale of the Han army is low, and the Han army can only hold on. At this time, the Han general will be trapped and unable to defend or surrender." After hearing this, everyone shouted, "General's clever plan." In the morning, the city guard, as usual, patrolled the city defenses. Suddenly, he stopped to look at the Wei army digging the riverbank, his anger rising in his heart. He understood that this was a Yang scheme. If he goes out of the city to face the Han army, he will be defeated, and if he defends the city, he will also be defeated. If the Wei army only gives him one way, it is surrender. The fist smashed heavily against the city wall. After a while, Gongzi Ang saw the gate of the city wide open. Han General Muwen personally led his troops out of the city, threw down his weapons, and the Han army surrendered. Gongzi Ang smiled because he had won, and the next big army was to surround Xinzheng. Korean Court Marquis Han looked at the battle report in his hand and said, "The entire army of Han Shan has been destroyed, and Guanqing has surrendered." The army of the State of Wei advanced straight towards Xinzheng. Han Ho said sorrowfully, "Prime Minister, if I had known this, I should have listened to you. If Han Shan's army had not adjusted, there would not have been such a great defeat. What should our country do now?" The Prime Minister Han Yi on the side said, "Your Majesty, now our army is defending Xinzheng, closed doors, waiting for the Zhao army to defeat the Wei army along the way of Zhao, and waiting for the Zhao army to rescue our country." After hearing this, Marquis Han said, according to the Prime Minister's words, Xinzheng's defense depends on him. Chapter 10. Qin State's Expedition. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Qin State Chongquan Camp Qin Gong Ingshi she said to the crowd, "Ladies and gentlemen, now that the general of Wei, Gongzi Ang, has only used 6 days to defeat the Han army, beheading more than 60,000 people and surrounding the capital of Han, Xinzheng, will Qin still send troops to attack Wei? Father, the Korean army is too weak to fight." After only a few days of fighting, 7 cities were lost, and the capital was surrounded by people, said Ying Qian on the side. After hearing this, Duke Qin said, "I never expected that the combat effectiveness of the South Korean army would be so weak. Now Wei is not stuck in a stalemate in South Korea, only Pang Juan's army is facing off against Zhao's army. Will Qin attack Wei?" Zhang Gui replied, "Your Majesty, I believe that the reason why South Korea lost so quickly is mainly because South Korea fought against the famous general of Wei, Gongzi Ang. This person emphasizes the importance of military speed and is skilled in capturing cities and territories. He is known for his talent. Moreover, during his attack on South Korea, he used multiple tactics and easily captured 2 cities without bloodshed." Qin Gong said, "According to the general's words, the reason why South Korea lost quickly is not because the South Korean army was weak, but because it faced the famous general of Wei, Gongzi Ang. It is precisely because the South Korean army was defeated because the famous general of Wei, Gongzi Ang, used his troops like a god. If the last general were to face this person, there would only be a 50% chance of winning." After hearing this, Duke Qin said, "If this person were me, it would be great if they were generals of the state of Qin." Zhang Ting then said, "Your Majesty, I thought we would immediately attack the state of Wei." Upon hearing this, Duke Qin asked, "General, why?" There are 3 main points. Firstly, the state of Wei has already surrounded South Korea's Xinzheng, and our army is attacking the Heshi region. The ruler of Wei will not give up South Korea's Xinzheng because our army is invading the Heshi region. Secondly, the remaining general of Wei is Gong Shucuo, who is brave and belligerent. He is only skilled in formation and siege, but not in the art of warfare. During battles, he lacks a sense of the bigger picture, and will have an 80% chance of defeating him. In addition, General Pang Juan of Wei is facing off against Zhao at Huishui and cannot withdraw, so Qin can attack Wei. Thirdly, Pang Juan is leading Zhao to defeat Wei this time. Soldiers must have taken away all the Wei soldiers from Wei, so the rear of Wei must be empty. If our army takes advantage of this to attack, Wei can only respond hastily and recruit some inexperienced new soldiers to fight against our army, just like the Battle of Sherman a few years ago. Our army will be able to kill tens of thousands of Wei army heads in this battle, said Zhang Yan. Qin Gongyi exclaimed with joy, "General Zhang is truly the top general of our Qin country. I believe we will win this battle." Then he said, "We will send troops to attack Wei in 3 days, and we must retake the land of Heshi in this battle." As ordered. 3 days later, Duke Qin stood at the head of Chongquan City, watching the continuous influx of Qin troops from various parts of the state of Qin below the city. He asked Dr. Gan Long next to him, "Master, can you see if our soldiers in the Qin state are brave, fearless to death, and even braver than those in the Wei state?" Dr. Gan Long, standing beside him, looked at the Qin soldiers who came to Chongquan City below. None of the Qin soldiers were wearing armor, and some even wore bare upper bodies. He said, "Your Majesty, although our Qin army is not as advanced in weapons and equipment as Wei's soldiers, none of Wei's armies are as brave as our Qin soldiers. Only our Qin soldiers have the spirit of fearlessness and bravery." After listening to Gan Long's words, Duke Qin was very happy in his heart. He also knew that only 50,000 soldiers of the Qin army on this expedition were wearing armor, and these armor were only some leather armor. Most of them did not have proper military uniforms, and some even bare their upper bodies. However, the old Qin people were also brave, unmatched by the armies of any country in the world. This is also the only point of Qin Gong's confidence in the Qin army. Duke Qin then asked, "Your Highness, have you prepared enough food and forage for this army's expedition?" "I have already prepared enough food and forage for 2 months for this army's attack on the state of Wei," Gan Longwu replied. Qin Gong said with satisfaction, "Your Highness has done a good job. With your Highness helping me sit in the rear, I can rest assured." At this moment, Ying Qian came over and said to Duke Qin, "Father, all 200,000 troops have arrived at the Chongquan camp." After listening to Ying Qian's words, Duke Qin said, "Oh, the army has already assembled so quickly." He said to the nearby Shangfu Gan Long, "Shangfu and I will go together to see our Qin soldiers and see their bravery." Master Gan Long arched his hand and said, "I respectfully obey your orders." Qin Gong laughed and said to the two of them, "My dear son, master, I have a premonition that our army will surely defeat the army of Wei. I have beheaded tens of thousands of Wei soldiers and recaptured the land of Heshi." At this moment, the roars of large army soldiers came in waves. Upon hearing this, Duke Qin immediately said, "Your Highness, hurry up and hear that our Qin soldiers are eager to reclaim the land of Heshi. Your Highness, General Zhang will definitely lead our Qin army of 200,000 to defeat Wei and reclaim the land of Heshi." Subsequently, the three of them went to Chongquan camp together. In the campsite of Chongquan camp, 200,000 soldiers of the state of Qin are ready to depart, waiting for the arrival of the ruler of Qin, for his orders, and for the upcoming war with the state of Wei. There is no trace of fear on the faces of these Qin soldiers, only their brave and fearless spirit reflects on their faces. At this moment, Duke Qin walked into the school field with his senior official Gan Long. Almost all the soldiers of the Qin army looked at Duke Qin. At this moment, Duke Qin, Ying Shishi, also knew that all the soldiers of the Qin army were looking at him. Although Ying Shishi was now over 60 years old, on this occasion, he felt like a young man in his 30s, full of energy, as if he had returned to the grandeur of his youth. Ying Shishi straightened his waist, pressed the sword in his left hand, and walked step by step towards the high platform. Each step was so calm, each step was so firm, and each step was so powerful. When Duke Qin ascended the high platform and looked at the soldiers of the Qin army, a voice flashed through the hearts of all the soldiers, and they couldn't help but shout, "Your Majesty, for thousands of years! Your Majesty, for thousands of years!" Upon hearing the shouting of a 200,000 strong army, Ying Shishi's whole body was filled with heat. He raised his sword from his waist and loudly said, "Soldiers, Wei once occupied the Heshi region of our Qin state. Do we agree or not?" "No, no." Qin Gong said again, "Now we are going to use our swords to retake the land of Heshi. Would you like to retake the land of Heshi with me?" "Yes. Yes." Qin Gong looked at the high morale of the Qin army and recalled in his heart the oath he made when he was young to reclaim the land of Heshi. Later, Duke Qin drew his sword and said, "All soldiers, I will use my sword with you to recapture the land of Heshi, kill Wei Guo, recapture the land of Heshi. Recapture Heshi. Recapture Heshi. Soldiers, this battle is a sure victory for our Qin army. The state of Qin will last for thousands of years." Ying Shishi shouted loudly. "The Qin army will surely win. The state of Qin will last for thousands of years." 200,000 soldiers shouted in unison, "Embark on an expedition." In the study of the Duke of Wei in the state of Wei, ladies and gentlemen, the 200,000 strong army of the state of Qin has already set out for battle. "What should our army do?" asked the Marquis of Wei. General Pang Juan beside him said, "Your Majesty, act according to the plan." "But I'm not at ease," said Marquis Wei with concern. "Don't be careful, Your Majesty. General Long Jia has served in the army for more than 20 years and has been cautious and steady in his military tactics. He will definitely not allow Qin to seize the land of Heshi. In addition, Wei has defense equipment designed by the Mahists in both Shaoyang City and Linjin City. Shaoyang City and Linjin City will not be taken by the Qin army, Your Majesty. After Pang Juan finished speaking, he pointed to the cities of Shaoyang and Linjin on the map and said, Your Majesty, this is near Xinzheng, guarded by Long Jia, the main general of Heshi. The army of Qin will not attack Linjin, but will encircle but not attack. Then the army will attack Shaoyang with all their might. The defending general of Shaoyang is Zhai Liang, the son of Zhai Jiao. This person has been serving as a magistrate of Shihe County for many years and will definitely not be defeated by the Qin army. In addition, there are more than 20,000 defenders of Shaoyang city, and tens of thousands of people in the city. Guarding Shaoyang city is more than enough, and the military method of Yingong city requires 10 times the attack. Qin needs to attack it. The great army of the country must send 150,000 people to attack the city, while if the state of Qin wants to attack Shaoyang city within a month, it will need 200,000 people. Therefore, there is no need to worry, and the general of Qin, Zhang Xian, is skilled in warfare and not good at attacking cities and seizing land. He led 80,000 soldiers to cross the Yellow River and Luo River and march eastward along Zhongqiao Mountain. He ambushed our army at the Shimen of Zhongqiao Mountain. At that time, our 60,000-strong army underestimated the enemy and advanced recklessly, resulting in a major defeat. It can also be seen that this person had the courage to use troops and was good at encirclement and annihilation, but not at attacking cities and seizing land. In the Battle of Wucheng, the Qin army attacked Wucheng, but for several months they did not break through, only defeating the Wei Han coalition army who came to rescue. It's just that the current army is led by me personally, and I have a 10% chance of defeating him. After listening to Pang Juan's words, the Marquis of Wei said, with General Pang stationed, our country of Wei is not afraid of any army. According to General Pang's words, follow the plan and order Long Jia to tell him that he must defend the land of Heshi no matter what. After this battle, I will definitely reward him heavily, said Marquis Wei. Your Majesty, Holy Wisdom.